Hello guys, welcome to the channel and welcome to a sort of top 10 if you like, but it's a top 20 today. A few weeks ago I watched a video on Horror Hands channel and he did his top 20 horror films ever made. So we're going to do my top 20 horror films ever made. Now I've done some before, I've done top 10, 20 films of all time. I've done top films in each genre, but I've not done one specifically with horror. So today we are going to do that today. So I've got my top 20 all laid out here. Wasn't too difficult to go through because it was like I just had a thought about what films I sort of watched and absolutely adored, and sort of like films that I could watch at a drop of a hat that that wouldn't I've got to be in the mood for. So certain films didn't make my list because of that. Like The Exorcist and The Omen. Both fantastic films, and both of them in my top 20 films of all time. But they're not sort of films I can just sort of pop on and watch. I've got to be in the right place and the right mood for that. But these ones I can pretty much watch at any time. So let's crack on. Start off at number 20. Sorry, it's just Sullivan in the way. Number 20 is a film starring Johnny Depp and oh, Robbie Coltrane, and it's From Hell, which is a sort of story likely based on Jack the Ripper case in Victorian London. It's a very gothic sort of horror with great sort of like Sherlock Holmesy sort of feel to it, where they're investigating who's done the murders. So it's a really cool film. It's a great watch, and it plays out really well with great character storylines, great costumes, great scenery, and really well played out, and a great version of the Jack the Ripper story. So number 20 is From Hell. Number 19 is an American supernatural film, if you like, from the 1970s, and it stars Sissy Spacek in Carrie. Now, I love this film. It's a really cool film. It's quite haunting and scary. The mother is really scary, but yeah, it's just such a good story, and it stars a really young John Travolta in there, which is really cool. And what's the young actress's name again? Come on, Joff. I'm so my memory is just nowhere near as good as it used to be. But yeah, really cool film, Carrie, with an epic ending. Really cool. Love Carrie. That's number 19. Number 18 is a comedy horror, starring Chris Sarandon, and it's called Fright Night. Also stars Roddy McDowall of Planet of the Apes fame, and Amanda Beasley. She's also stars in this film. This is about a horror fan that watches a late night horror show presented by Roddy McDowall, and he thinks vampires have moved next door to him in his house. So he's trying to prove to his friends and his mother that there's vampires moved in. And it's a real sort of it's just a great 80s horror. It really looks 80s, it plays out 80s, it's got a great soundtrack, and it's just good fun to watch for a good sort of like popcorn horror night when you ain't got to think too much about it, just want to say in there to enjoy. Fright Nights to go to. So number 18 is Fright Night. Number 17 is a film that I loved when I really started to get into horror films way back in the sort of late 70s, early 80s, and it's David Cronenberg's Shivers. This is such a cool film. David Cronenberg has a absolute interest in not just body horror, but in things like strange parasital horror, I would class it, if you like, because a lot of his films contain parasites or insects, and this one is no different. It's about a parasite that gets into people's bodies and it turns them into sex-craved zombie-like maniacs, and they go around craving sex and killing one another and stuff like that. And it's based in like a sort of an apartment, a new apartment that's being built there in Canada, like a big sort of like a big hotel almost, and all the people that live there start getting infected by it. It's such a cool film. Really wish this got like a new remake, like a 4K one. We've had some remakes done of The Brood and Scanners, so Shivers would be good too. Great film, and that's in at my number 17. Number 16 is absolute gore fest and classic 80s gore fest from Lamberto Bava, and it's Demons. It's such a cool film. It's a real popcorn movie again. It's just something that takes me right back to my youth when I remember buying this on VHS. And Demons too. Could include them both in this really, but it just sort of takes me right back to that time when it was just fantastic. You know, we were treated by these amazing sort of films that were coming out, and Demons stuck with me. It's based in like a cinema where it's a film within a film. There's people in the cinema watching this horror film, and what happened in the horror film actually comes a little bit to life to where they are, and they get infected by this sort of demon disease, and they start turning into demons and killing each other off, and then it outbreaks and spreads onto Demons too. It's such a cool film, really, really cool. I absolutely love this film. Every time I've seen it, I know I'm in for a good time. I don't ever get bored of it. I just recently reviewed this on my channel because I do now also possess the 4K version of this and Demons too, because I love it that much. I wanted to upgrade it, but I'm still keeping my Steelbook because I think that's wonderful. So number 16 is Demons. Just making sure I've got it right. Yeah, so number 15, we're staying with Italy, with Lucio Fulci and the City of the Living Dead, which was a part of a trilogy of films he made: The Beyond, City of the Living Dead, and The House by the Cemetery. Beyond and House by the Cemetery, I think, hit the section 1 of the Video Nasty. I'm not sure if City of the Living Dead did. I don't think it did, but this is a really cool film. Based around, again, the Book of Enoch. We're opening the gateways to hell, and this was such a marvelous film. All the zombies looked really cool. It was just really atmospheric, and there was the priest that was in there was just so sort of like terrifying, and like this sort of ghost priest that keeps appearing. Just such a cool film, and I love the whole trilogy, I really do, but this one out of the 3 really stands out to me. And look at that incredible artwork. Imagine that as a poster. That'd just be so cool. Yeah, Lucio Fulci, the master of Italian gore. Not the master of Italian horror, but the master of Italian gore, definitely. Fantastic film. And number 15 is City of the Living Dead. So we're in my top 15 now. Number 15, I'm going to cheat because it's a franchise, and it's Friday the 13th. Love these films, absolutely wonderful. The first 1, 2 and 4 are probably my favourites, plus number 6. I love 6, but there again I also love Jason Takes Manhattan, and although it's not everyone's sort of favourite, but I do like Jason Goes to Hell as well. It's a really cool film. But yeah, what a great franchise. Started off with Sean Cunningham, and he just created this marvellous monster called Jason Voorhees. It's such a great film. Again, very 80s driven, very popcorn cinema. This to me is a proper cinema horror film. When I want to have fun and go and watch a horror film in the cinema, films like Friday the 13th are the best ones. We were lucky last year we got the Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, which was again a very cinema sort of experience, and this one is no different. Absolutely fantastic. Friday the 13th is number 14. Number 13, back to Italy again, to my favourite horror director, to Dario Argento. And we have Profondo Rosso, or Deep Red. Now, I was going to put Suspiria in here, but I went with Deep Red, just simply because it was a little bit more different to his Suspiria. This played out. Suspiria is like a sort of folk horror witchcraft kind of film. This played out a lot more like a giallo, and it was like a whodunit sort of film again, which I love. I absolutely love giallos. I love this so much. I've got it in a protector. I want to look after it. It's one of my precious sort of films. It's such a cool story. There's also some black humour and comedy on this, where our hero meets this female and she seems to be better at him at everything. So there's a lot of humour, and they got like a really funny little car. It's so cool. And Deep Red the Killer, like, it's just so cool. And it's just like, it's just such an amazing macabre sort of horror giallo. I love it so much. Profondo Rosso is in at number 13. Number 12, we're off to British horror, into the 1950s, with Pete Cushing and Christopher Lee in The Curse of Frankenstein. This is one of the early Hammer sort of horror films. I think it's the first film filmed in colour, to be honest, in this sort of horror sort of time. And it sort of led a spawn of sort of like follow-ups. You know, we had loads of Frankenstein films from Hammer after this one, but this one I think is the best one. And also it was so successful, they went on and made a sort of their version of Dracula with Christopher Lee. But this came out before that, and it was just such a cool film. It was just like, it had gore in it for like one of the first time, because everything before it had been like sort of black and white and or like your American RKO films or Universal films, you know. That's what we sort of had over here. And then Hammer came up with this beauty. So number 12 is The Curse of Frankenstein. We're getting there slowly, guys. Number 11, the classic slasher of probably all time, and everyone's probably in a lot of their top 10. But it's in at number 11 for me, and it's John Carpenter's Halloween, the original one. It spooked me out when I first saw it. Spooks me out still today. A very eerie film, very eerie filmmaking, where photography is the key and the music soundtrack is the key more than the cannon fodder, if you like, our final girls. Yes, we've got Jamie Lee Curtis in it, playing Laurie Strode, and Donald Pleasance making his first appearance there in this film, this franchise. It's a fantastic film. Really cool, classic, classy horror film, and it's a really works upon its music. I think that's an extra character. Number 11, John Carpenter's Halloween. So let's get to the top 10, not waste too much time. Number 10 is a classic 70s monster creature animal killer film, and it's Jaws. I love this film. It's not very high up because it's a difficult one, because it's a horror film, but it's also a sort of a real sort of animal sort of thing. But people do, you know, that people kind of do. They hunt down sharks, hunt down whales and stuff like that. So it had like a real sort of element to it. But this was like a giant shark that was sort of on the loose in Amity Bay, where our sheriff, who is afraid of the water because of an incident happened in his youth, is trying to help catch this killer shark, where he gets Richard Dreyfuss in to help him to do so. It's a fantastic film, really incredible classic soundtrack from John Williams, brilliant effects for the time. The shark looks amazing. It looks so cool, and it's just a wonderful film. I could put this on right now and watch it and enjoy every single second. It's an amazing film. Number 10 is Jaws. Number 9, we're going back to the 80s master of American cinema, John Carpenter, with The Thing. I loved The Thing. I think this is definitely my favourite John Carpenter film. It was in my top 5 favourite films of all time, but when it comes to horror, it's a little lower. I know you're thinking, how can that be lower if it's in your top 5 films? This isn't just about my choice of like, oh, these are the best films, but it's like how they were made and the watchability of it, and is it great filmmaking? Is it a great story? And so many other horror films sort of like push that a little bit forward, but this is, it's incredible filmmaking for the 80s. I think 1982, I'm sure this came out. Based in Antarctica, Kurt Russell and his team are out there doing tests and experiments, probably weather and climate change, and they find at the beginning a dog turns up being chased by a helicopter from a Swedish scientific group that are out there. So they go investigate that scene, and unfortunately they find they've all been killed. But the dog that survived this helicopter chase has the thing in him, and it goes and it sort of takes over the camp, killing them one by one. And it's like a who is it and who done it sort of film. It's a fantastic sort of horror sci-fi thriller. It's incredible, and the effects are some of the best practical effects ever. Fantastic, The Thing. And at number 9. Number 8 is a comedy horror, if you like, but it holds a lot of memories for me. Absolutely loved it when it came out, and I love it today. And it's An American Werewolf in London, about these 2 American tourists that have come over to England. They're up there in the Yorkshire Dales, and one of them gets attacked by a werewolf and the other one survives, but he's been bitten by the werewolf. So the curse of the werewolf's been passed on to one of these, and he's been sent down to London to sort of like recover from his attack. And he keeps getting visited by his dead friend, telling him he's going to turn to a werewolf, he needs to kill himself, this sort of thing. And then things progress on from there. It's got some of the best transformation effects ever. It's got some amazing shots of England and London back in the 1980s, I want to say, early 80s, 79. John Landis done a great job making this film. It's got some humour in it. It's got some classic British actors and actresses and comedians in it. It's a cool film. Number 9 is American Werewolf in London. Is that 9? Or is that number 8? Let me think. Where have I gone wrong? Let me figure this out. So what have I done? 10, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. That's number 8. Right, so that's number 8. So we're down to number 7. And for number 7, we're going off to Sweden for probably my favourite vampire film. And it's Let the Right One In. Incredible story about a young boy and a very old but very young looking vampire called Ely, and she's moved in next door to the young boy, and her helper is getting a bit old, and he is making mistakes, and he ends up killing himself. And then not a love story sort of seems to form between the young lad and the young girl, as she wants him to be her new carer to help provide for her, because obviously she can't go out in daylight and stuff like this, and she lives on blood. And he finds this out, but it doesn't stop him caring or loving the young vampire. It's a very cool, very bleak, very dark and depressing, quite violent and bloody film. It's an amazing film with an incredible soundtrack. It's my favourite vampire film of all time. I love it. Absolutely wonderful. Number 7, Let the Right One In. So I'm not going through a lot of synopsises and why I love it so much. I just don't want this video to be like an hour long. I just want it to be under half an hour if I can. And we're up to 20 minutes already. Right, number 6 is probably my favourite zombie film. And it's by George Romero, and it's Day of the Dead. Loved this film. Loved it in the cinema. You know the history behind this film with me. I've told it many times how I was ill in the cinema when I watched this. Felt sick with the gore. It's a fantastic film. George Romero directed his third in his zombie films with special effects by Tom Savini. It's about an army and some scientists that live underground in the coastline of America, and they are trying to figure out a way to get over the zombie apocalypse that is going on up above. The scientists are trying to think of a way of controlling them. The soldiers are losing patience and just want to go out and obliterate them, and they've got like this capturing area where they capture zombies for the scientists to do their tests, and it just explodes when the scientists and the soldiers sort of fall out. And it's all about humans sort of like stress and unable to get on in times of when you're supposed to. It's really, really cool. Great zombie effects, amazing gore, stomach churning gore at times. Really cool story, and it just takes me right back to the 80s when I watch it. So number 6 is George Romero's Day of the Dead. So we're down to the top 5, and it wouldn't be a top 5 with one of my favourite one from my favourite directors in there. So at number 5 is Dario Argento's Tenerbury, which again is fantastic. Not too dissimilar to Deep Red. It's got a giallo feel about it. It's about a horror novel writer who writes these books, and there's somebody out there killing people in the same way of people died in the book, and they're trying to investigate who it is. There's so many suspects. There's a young lad, there's his ex-wife, and there's other sort of suspects come up. You got the police investigating it, and you got this poor family being sort of trying to come to terms with what's going on, and the writer trying to figure out who will do this, and it comes to a very sort of like unexpected ending that you didn't see coming, and it's really quite gruesome. There's a real gory scene in there with a hand getting cut off, sort of thing, and it was like it was a Section 1 video nasty that I believe was prosecuted. But Tenerbury is a fantastic film. In at number 5, I love it. I do have it on Blu-ray, but I've just recently upscaled it to 4K because it's one of my favourites. Number 5, Tenerbury. Number 4, probably my favourite giallo slasher, a Spanish film, and it's Pieces in at number 4. And I'll tell you, Linda George will not be happy that it's only at number 4. Bastard! 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 Sorry, Linda, but I've got other films that I wanted to put a little bit higher, but this is definitely my favourite sort of slasher stroke giallo film, Pieces, about a killer stalking these high school kids and a buffoon of a police officers that rely on a kid of the school to solve the case for them, while Linda George plays tennis. It's got everything. It's got everything in it. It's just fantastic. It's got really tacky, cheesy acting, fantastic gore, amazing little storyline, and it's just wonderful. I absolutely love Pieces. Again, a bit like Jaws, I could put this on right now and watch it through to the end and love it. And if you buy it from the Arrow, it has on here, which is really cool, an audience sort of commentary on there. So when you're watching the film, you can hear the audience sort of in the background sort of laughing or cheering at the deaths and stuff. It's really, really cool. It's such a cool film. So number 3 is Pieces. Number 4, Pieces. Number 3 is Back to Britain for a British horror film, absolute classic, starring Edward Woodward and Christopher Lee, and it's The Wicker Man. I can't have a top 20 about The Wicker Man. I'm a folk horror fan. Folk horror is my genre. Folk horror and Italian horror are my go-tos for any horror. But yes, so I could not get this done without putting in The Wicker Man, based on a remote island off Scotland, Summer Isle, run by Lord Summer Isle, where there's a community, a pagan sort of community, that still live on this island. He's gone there because someone's reported a young girl, Megan, gone missing. And so he goes there and investigates, and he gets indulged with their sexual behaviour and their pagan ways and their beliefs. And he's investigating it, still looking for this girl. And ultimately, he was brought over there for a reason, not to find a girl, but to be a sacrifice. So behold, The Wicker Man is in at number 3. Amazing. Number 2, I've said to you all before, my favourite horror of all time is this, and it's Robert Eggers' The Witch. I had to put this in number 2 because my favourite film of all time has to take number 1 spot. I'm sorry, and you all know what I'm going to say it is. But yes, The Witch is my favourite horror film that's ever been made. But there is a sci-fi film that is classed as horror that is still my best film of all time. So I still put this in at number 2. Fantastic film starring Ralph Innes, who signed it there for me. Him and his family have been thrown out of the local town because of a wrongdoing that I think that one of them have done. And they've been thrown out, so they go off on their own and they try to set up a little farm in this sort of deserted, bleak area, but a very unsuccessful farm. They can't grow crops, they can't catch their food properly, and it's down to the land that they're living on. Also in this area, within the woods close to their farm, lives a witch, and she's cursed this land. And she has her companion, Black Phillip, makes an appearance in there, and the young baby of the family goes missing, and we see it getting used for the recipe in the cauldron of the witch, and the family ultimately break down and start blaming each other, accusing each other of being witches, and then it destroys the whole family in the end. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful, bleak horror film. It's classic, not overly too gory, not overly too... It's just an atmospheric, eerie, incredible film. Absolutely love The Witch. I could watch this every day of my life. I love it that much. It's spoken in Old English, so it can be hard sometimes to understand what's being said, but then it gives you the opportunity to multi-watch it and enjoy it more. But what a wonderful film with incredible performances from the actors. Robert Eggers done some amazing directing in this film. Awesome. The Witch is my second favourite there. So, number 1, greatest horror film ever made has to be, of course, Alien, starring Sigourney Weaver as Ripley. This is about you all know the story of this. It's about a crew of this cargo vessel that get awakened from hypersleep because they get this distress call. So they've been told they've got to investigate it. So they go investigate it on this planet, and they find out it's not a distress call, it's a warning. And a parasite from an egg on this, it gets ingested into one of the characters played by John Hurt. And then once they're on board the ship, this parasite escapes John Hurt's body, grows and molts out very quick, and starts taking out the crew. It's a survival horror in space where no one can hear you scream. There's no other film that's made with so much terror, intensity, atmosphere, Amazing creature, great practical effects, incredible cast, great soundtrack. It's perfect. It's amazing. It's the best horror film I think ever made. I'm a hypocrite because to me that is too. So they are both up there for me. But because I've had a love affair with this film a lot longer, it's difficult to knock this off number one because it is my favourite film of all time. So that's why it's up there. And that is, to me, the top 20 horror movies ever made.